Good afternoon, everyone. This is Stephanie Loop, and I will be conducting our nutrition support monthly call this afternoon for our March 2023 update. So we have an agenda here. There's a lot of things we're going to discuss. Some of it is familiar, some of it may be new information. We're going to talk about some of the newest memos and resources that have been posted, some due dates, a little bit about the equipment grant, a little bit about supply chain assistance, the proposed rule, a few legislative updates, a little bit about Medicaid, some training updates, and then we're also going to be including some summer information. We do have a bunch of summer trainings coming up this month and next, so we're going to provide updates on those. So I think you're all familiar with where you go to see our new memos that are posted. These are the ones on this slide. And this slide are the ones that have been posted as of maybe yesterday morning. There may have been a couple more that have been through since then. So first, to start off, I wanted to talk a little bit about CEP. Your population data and your elections data, they're coming up soon. So I'm sure you all remember last year we had some waivers when it came to CEP. So it extended our population data to a submission date of June 30th, and it extended our elections submission date to September 30th. Well, this year we are reverting back to our traditional timelines. So we will have a hard deadline for submitting population data of April 15th of 2023. That's going to be done in eScholar on that population data tab. And just as a reminder, this population data is your data as of April 1st of 2023. So it's your entire school year, July 1 of 2022 through April 1st of 2023. You're going to have to, once we open the tab, you're going to have to refresh your population tab prior to submission to make sure that you're pulling in any matches made after that tab opens. So we do want to encourage you to be working on your data now on the direct match side of things. This is the first year of our Medicaid demonstration project, so you want to make sure that you've captured all of your Medicaid files and that you've done those matches. Make sure that all of your direct matches are entered. Make sure that all of your extended matches are made. Another thing that we really want to emphasize is that you will need to ensure that every active school is listed on that population data tab. So whenever you're looking at your population data, when that opens in the CEP manager, please go through and look and make sure that every school that's active in your district is reflected on that population data. We don't want to miss anyone. We don't want to move into elections without you having established the population data for a school. So it's really imperative that you go in and ensure that every school in your district is showing up on the population data. Now, of course, there's some schools where, you know, there's a program associated with the school, so you may only see the school and not the program, but you'll just want to make sure essentially that it's in line with what we have on your Schedule A. Jane sent an update this morning, and she wanted to make sure that you know that you will have a couple more opportunities to identify students. So we're going to have a February Medicaid free and Medicaid reduced files. Those should come in around March 13th through 20th. And then you're going to have a March SNAP TANF Medicaid free, Medicaid reduced files. And they're expecting those to come in around April 1st through 5th for SNAP and TANF, and April 15th through 22nd for Medicaid. We also do want to note here that your Medicaid reduced is not going to be included in your CEP counts. It's still important to do those matches to get those children the benefits, especially in your traditional counting and claiming schools. But for CEP purposes, for your ISP, those Medicaid reduced kids aren't going to roll in. So don't expect that. You're only going to see your Medicaid free students roll in. Again, I just want to emphasize that you're not going to be allowed to make changes to your population data after April 15th of 2023. So everything needs to be done upfront ahead of time. And that data is of April 1st of 2023. Here's a few CEP definitions. We are doing a CEP training in the upcoming, I believe it may be next Thursday. We've got a CEP training, but I did want to cover a few definitions on CEP. So when we say renew, what that means is that you're starting a new four-year cycle. If you're looking at continuing your elections, that means that you're continuing your current base year. It's like you're moving into the next year of your cycle. Your base year is the first school year that your CEP data was used. So if your base year is 2023, that means this was the first year in your CEP cycle. A grace year, this is really a terrible term, and we'll cover this in more detail in our CEP training, but what the grace year means is that you've ended your four-year cycle and you no longer qualify for CEP. So you ended your four-year cycle, and on April 1st of whatever year, you're finding that your population data, your ISP, is less than 40%. At least that's what the threshold is at this point in time. So what a grace year does, it allows you to continue offering meals free of charge to all students, but at a very low claiming percentage. So let's say you are 35% for ISP, you're going to multiply that by your 1.6 multiplier, and that's going to be your claiming percentage. So it's going to be very, very low. So a grace year doesn't allow you to continue claiming the way you were claiming. It gives you a year to figure out how to transition from offering free meals to, what's next for your district. So I did want to provide a little clarity there. Your ISP is the number of identified students divided by the enrollment times 100. It's a percentage. And then your claiming percentage is your ISP times the multiplier of 1.6. We're hearing that Congress may lower the 40% mark for qualifying for CEP. We've asked USDA if there's any indication that the multiplier is going to increase, and at this point in time, they're not thinking that that is going to happen. And also just to note that qualifying for CEP does not qualify your SFA for 100% free claiming. So you do have to take your ISP, that's your identified students, divided by your total enrollment, and then multiply that by 1.6. So it may be that you end up claiming only 70% of your meals for free and the rest for paid. It just really depends on the percentage of identified students that you have in your particular cluster, district, or school. Weekly emails. So due to staff shortages that we have here at the state agency, we've just been unable to continue that weekly email update that we've been sending. We've kind of been unable to do that in 2023. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Child Nutrition Programs at la.gov or to call our main line at 225-342-9661. If you emailed this Child Nutrition Programs at la.gov, what it does is it sends it to this generalized email address that several people have access to, and then they're able to dispatch that question or request to someone that they know is available. So that can be a really a good way to get a hold of someone. And then if you've reached out and you don't receive a response within 24 hours, if you've reached out to an individual staff member or to this generalized email, you can absolutely follow up and see if you can, see if we can't get you connected with someone that can answer your questions. The 2022 NSLP Equipment Assistance Grants for SFAs. The application period closed on January 31st of 2023. We had intended to get awards notifications out. We had to await for some guidance from USDA. And so we're still working on getting those notification of awards out to you all. And we will try to get that done as soon as we can. Okay, so we've posted 2 memos about SNAP and TANF data loaded into eScholar. January and February SNAP and TANF data have been loaded. The SNAP batches are 4312 and 4439. Our TANF batches are 4311 and 4438. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to Jane. Her email is linked here, and she would be happy to provide assistance. We also have Medicaid files that have been loaded. This is the January data. Our Medicaid free lunch batch was 4403, and our Medicaid reduced lunch batch was 4402. We have a Summer Food Service Program 2023 survey. We're trying to gather information about what your plans are for operating summer meals when school is out. So you can scan, if you haven't already filled it out, you can scan that QR code with your smartphone and you can access that survey, and it'll give us some information to help determine, what areas may need services offered and which areas are going to be covered this summer. So we do have a few legislative updates. Streamlining program requirements and improving integrity in the SFSP. There is a webinar recording that is available for you. This one was done by FNS. This is in regards to a final rule that was passed for the Summer Food Service Program. We do have a webinar that we will be conducting later in March to discuss this, but there are several changes to the Summer Food Service Program for this year. So please plan to listen to the PowerPoint slide linked here, or to make sure that you attend that training later in March. We also have the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023. So in late December, the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023 was signed by the president and became law. This was part of an omnibus bill that funds the government for the remainder of fiscal year 23. So there are some policy changes. The policy changes that came with this act permanently allows for non-congregate summer meal service in specific situations. It establishes a permanent nationwide summer EBT program and benefits, and it also addresses some stolen or skimmed SNAP benefits. So specific to the non-congregate feeding summer option, it is going to be allowed in rural areas without congregate sites, and it's going to be using guidelines and models that USDA developed for earlier demonstration projects. We have posted the implementation guidance for this non-congregate feeding option. It has been posted in our memos. I would highly recommend reading through that. Again, with the final rule training that we're doing later this month, we're also going to include information about the implementation guidance for this non-congregate summer feeding. This will go in the plan that we submit annually to USDA for our summer feeding programs. So by April 1st, we will have our plan submitted to USDA. That's for this summer. And then for summer 2024 and beyond, summer EBT is going to be available nationwide to all children that are eligible for free or reduced price school meals. And non-congregate summer meals will be an option in rural areas without congregate sites based on regulations to be issued by USDA sometime in 2023. So this is what USDA has put forth, is that we are to use this rural designation map, and this is specific to SFSP. We've been using it for years to determine if sites are eligible for a rural designation or a non-rural designation. And what you can see, this is a snapshot of the map for Louisiana, and it is by parish. And so what it shows you is that the purple areas are considered non-rural areas, and any other areas are considered rural areas. So if your parish is in a purple area, you will not be eligible for non-congregate feeding this summer. However, if you are in one of these other areas, then that is a feeding model that you can consider. And obviously, we will be working with anyone that wants to utilize non-congregate feeding. We'll have a lot of similar guidance and guidelines that we had during COVID to ensure program integrity and food safety. But if you are in a non-purple area, you may be eligible, and we would love to talk to you about what that's going to look like this summer. But I did want to kind of give you a picture of what the state looks like. We posted a memo, SFS 23-035, which were annual adjustments to reimbursement rates. The annual adjustments to the reimbursement rates for meals served in the summer food service program for children for calendar year 2023 have been released. The new rates do reflect an increase in the SFSP reimbursement according to changes in the Consumer Price Index, or the CPI. We do have links to those numbers on this slide. We are anticipating an end or an expiration of the public health emergency. And with the expiration of the public health emergency, we are believing that it's going to end in May. There will be several other waivers that end with the end of the public health emergency. So we will see an end to the nationwide waiver of on-site monitoring requirements for state agencies and the CACFP. We have been conducting our CACFP reviews on-site, but as a general rule, that waiver will end. There will be an end to the nationwide waiver of on-site monitoring requirements for sponsors in the CACFP. So that waiver will end. And then there will also be an end to the nationwide waiver of on-site monitoring requirements in the school meals program. And this year we have been conducting all ARs in person. So we won't see huge changes in that, but these are 3 waivers that will end with the expiration of the public health emergency. We are anticipating that the reimbursement rates for 23-24 for school year 23-24 will return to the pre-pandemic rates with the expected CPI adjustments only. Those have not been released yet, but we are not anticipating that we're going to have that additional 40 cents added into lunch. So as you're starting to plan for school year 23-24, take that into consideration. I mean, it would be wonderful if we find out, later on that they are going to continue that increased reimbursement rate. But as of right now, for planning purposes, we would encourage you to plan on those pre-pandemic rates with only CPI adjustments. There is a proposed rule for revisions to meal patterns consistent with the 2020 dietary guidelines for Americans. So notably, what this rulemaking proposes is new added sugar standards. Some of you may be familiar with those based off of, CACFP does have added sugar standards for cereals and yogurts, but USDA is proposing this rule for NSLP SBP. We're also going to see gradually reducing sodium limits and then codifying the 80% whole grain rich standard that's been part of our transitional standards. USDA is inviting any interested persons to submit written comments on the provisions of this proposed rule. You can do it online. That's the preferred method. At regulations.gov. You can also mail in your comments, but we would highly encourage you, as you review those proposed rules, to provide USDA with your feedback from your perspective as school food service directors and how you see those things impacting your food service, your child nutrition programs. I spoke with a director this morning who's put her comment in. So please make sure that USDA knows what you think about these proposed rules. We posted a memo on determining, this came from USDA, determining eligibility for severe need reimbursement for the school breakfast program, and the 2-cent differential reimbursement for the National School Lunch Program in school year 23-24. This guidance applies to state agencies and school food authorities administering the National School Lunch and School Breakfast programs in 23-24. It provides clarification on how to determine eligibility for the severe need reimbursement rates for the school breakfast program and the 2-cent differential reimbursement in the National School Lunch Program in school year 23-24. Schools are eligible for the severe need breakfast reimbursement rates if 40% or more of the NSLP lunches served to students at school during the second preceding school year were at the free or reduced price rate. School food authorities are eligible for the 2-cent differential reimbursement for lunches if 60% or more of the NSLP lunches served in the second preceding school year were at the free or reduced price rate. If a school claimed meals under NSLP for each month from October of 21 through April of 22, the state agency will determine that the school operated the NSLP for all of the 21-22 school year. Otherwise, the state agency must use the guidance in upcoming slides for schools that operated SSO in place of NSLP under that nationwide waiver during the 21-22 school year. So for severe need breakfast reimbursement, state agencies must use data from at least 3 claims in school year 22-23 to establish eligibility for severe need reimbursement in school year 23-24. As a reminder, even if a school is participating in CEP as part of a group, the school's eligibility for severe need breakfast reimbursement is based on the school's individual ISP. So it's not based on that cluster percentage, it's based on the individual school's ISP. Applying this guidance to school year 23-24, if a CEP school operated in 21-22, state agencies must use the school's individual ISP from 21-22 for the severe need determination in school year 23-24. If a CEP school operated SSO through the nationwide waiver during 21-22, state agencies must use the school's individual ISP from school year 22-23 for the severe need determination in school year 23-24. And for schools that are new in school year 23-24, or which do not have at least 3 months of claims from 22-23, state agencies may follow eligibility for severe need rates for the school breakfast program, food and nutrition service that is linked on this slide. For the 2-cent differential reimbursement for lunch, SFAs that operated the NSLP in all of their schools during 21-22 have second prior year data available to determine eligibility for the 2-cent differential reimbursement for 23-24. Therefore, for these SFAs, state agencies must use the percentage of lunches served free or at the reduced price during school year 21-22 to determine eligibility for the 2-cent differential reimbursements for 23-24. For SFAs with 1 or more sites that operated SSO under the nationwide waiver during school year 21-22, state agencies must use data from at least 3 claims in 22-23 to establish eligibility for the 2-cent differential in 23-24. And for SFAs that are new to the NSLP in 23-24, or that don't have at least 3 months of claims for 22-23, again, there is guidance that we can follow. The Louisiana Team Nutrition Festival of Flavors project is hosting culinary trainings. We've already completed 2. Lake Charles has already occurred. Baton Rouge has already occurred. Next week, we are having trainings in Monroe and Alexandria. They are on the Louisiana Fit Kids website. Kathy Carmichael is heading this up, as is Dr. Champagne. That is Kathy's email address. On the 14th, it's going to be hosted in Monroe. And on the 16th, it's going to be hosted in Alexandria. Of course, our Festival of Flavors grantees do have first access to these trainings, but we are extending it to other SFAs that may be in the area that may have chefs or other food service employees or managers that want to attend. And we are so excited and thankful for the work that Pennington is doing with us on this project. Memo SFS 23-054 Income Eligibility Guidelines. There were some annual adjustments to the income eligibility guidelines to be used in determining eligibility for free and reduced price meals for July 1st of 2023 through June 30th of 2024. So that has been posted. Okay, March trainings. Today, so tomorrow, and I'm sorry, I did not have a chance to update this. We have canceled our office hours for tomorrow. We have also canceled the March 9th returning sponsor SFSP training. We have one later this month, and we may offer an additional one in April. But I did want to mention here that office hours for tomorrow have been canceled, and the SFSP returning sponsors training has been postponed. We are offering an SFSP new sponsor training. It's going to be a live 2-day training at Pennington on March 14th and 15th. On Thursday, March 16th, we're doing our CEP training at 1 o'clock. On Tuesday, March 21st, I would highly encourage everyone on this call to attend. We're going to cover two very important topics. The first hour is going to be specific to streamlining requirements and improving integrity in the SFSP. And this is the final rule. And then in the second half, from 2 to 3, we're going to be discussing implementing non-congregate feeding. So if you think that maybe you may qualify for non-congregate feeding this summer, if you're interested in that or just want to learn more, that'll be in the second half of this training offered on Tuesday, March 21st. We do still have the Thursday, March 23rd SFSP returning sponsors training. Tuesday, March 28th will be our SFSP prospective new sponsors training, a Zoom training. It'll be a little bit shorter than our in-person. And then on Thursday, March 30th, we are going to have record keeping for the summer food service program. And we should have all of our April trainings posted soon. This week is National School Breakfast Week. We hope that y'all are celebrating that at your local schools. And also this is National Nutrition Month. So National Nutrition Month is an annual campaign. It was created 50 years ago by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. And during the month of March, everyone is invited to learn about making informed food choices and developing healthful eating and physical activity habits. This year's theme for National Nutrition Month is Fuel for the Future. Eating with sustainability in mind is a tasty way to nourish ourselves during every phase of life and to protect our environment. And registered dietitian nutritionists can help create healthy habits that are sustainable and celebrate individuals' unique needs. Like I said, this is School Breakfast Week, which is so exciting. And it can maybe help encourage more families to take advantage of the healthy choices available at school breakfast. The National School Breakfast Week campaign theme for this year is Dig Into School Breakfast. And you can remind your entire school community that healthy breakfast options are available at school, and they can provide an energizing start of the day for students. And there are marketing resources available from the School Nutrition Association. Pie Day is Tuesday, March 14th, next week. So maybe you want to think about all the circles in your kitchen and cafeterias, like cans, cucumber slices, pots, pans, cups, round tables. March 14th, which is 314. It commemorates the irrational, transcendent, and never-ending ratio that helps describe circles of all sizes. Pi Day has become an international holiday, celebrated live and online all over the world. Divide any circle circumference by its diameter, and the answer, whether for a pie plate or planet, is always approximately 3.14, a number we represent with the Greek letter pi. So on this slide, we've linked some great resources and activities for your school or school system to celebrate Pi Day. Here's some due dates for March of 2023. Make sure you submit your February claim for reimbursement. We are also going to be looking for your health inspections on the CNP website, in addition to meal denials on the CNP website. I hope that some of you were able to attend the meal denial training we did a few weeks ago. If you have any questions about that, or maybe even your superintendent has questions about that, we would be happy to talk to you here at the state agency. You're also going to be doing your direct match preparations for CEP population data that's due in April. Monitoring for school breakfast and school lunch were due prior to February 1st. If you have not done that, please make sure you do that as soon as possible. As a reminder, your after-school snack program monitoring is always due in the first 4 weeks of the program. Now, I think a lot of schools end up starting snack in the springtime, maybe for LEAP testing or whatever it is. So if you do start up an after-school snack program, make sure you do complete that monitoring within the first 4 weeks of the program. And then as a reminder, SFAs that utilize food service management companies do have to complete monitoring twice a year. All of these forms are available on our CNP website. This is just a reminder on school outreach requirements for summer. USDA regulations do require all SFAs and sponsors participating in child nutrition programs to promote SFSP programs operating in the area when school is closed. So if your particular school or school district is not participating in SFSP, there is still a USDA requirement that you promote programs that are going to be available in the area. And some of the ideas for promoting other SFSP programs in your district would include robocalls, emails, or text messages with links to signups and information posted directly to district websites and newsletters. I wanted to talk just a minute about, for those of you that are going to participate in the summer food service program this year, I wanted to touch on this racial ethnic data form. In the past, visual identification was used to fill out the form at individual sites. And the requirement to end the practice of visual identification was effective as of May 17th of 2021. And I think that it was kind of lost in COVID. I'm not sure how well the communication about this particular form was disseminated. So by the beginning of this year, or for this summer, we needed to have alternative means to capture the data. Adult participants and parents and guardians, you may ask them to identify the racial or ethnic group of the participant only after it's been explained, and they understand that providing the information is just to ensure compliance with USDA non-discrimination requirements only, and that a failure to report the information will not impact the participant's eligibility for meals. We have updated our racial ethnic data form to include an unknown designation. If it's something that you're unable to get, then you can mark unknown. FNS does discourage asking children to self-identify their race or ethnicity because this practice may be very confusing to young children. However, FNS understands that requesting information verbally may also be uncomfortable for staff and for participants. So respect for individual dignity should guide the process and methods for collecting data on race and ethnicity. And ideally, respondent self-identification should be facilitated to the greatest extent possible. And what that may mean for your enrolled programs is that you are using the school's data to fill out this form if you are operating the SFSP program. State agencies and program operators may wish to consider the following to collect the data. What I just said, using individual school enrollment data to obtain the racial and ethnic data for individual children, And SFSB sites that are able to obtain children's names and have access to school enrollment records may use them to obtain racial and ethnic data. We would anticipate this would just be SFAs only. Providing racial and ethnic data is voluntary to program participants. If a program operator is unable to collect that participant's information, their response may be marked unknown. And for that reason, FNS doesn't expect that the number of respondents will equal the number of children at the meal service site. However, they do expect program operators to continue to attempt to capture this data. And I've linked here some policy memos and Q&As on this topic. Online applications and claim submission for school year 22-23. The 60 calendar day deadline for submitting claims does still apply. Of course, we never recommend waiting until the 60th calendar day to submit. As you all probably know, if you wait until the 60th calendar day, something will probably go wrong that's going to delay that submission. So we definitely encourage you to do it well ahead of that 60 calendar day deadline. One-time exceptions are only allowed once every 36 months or 3 years. So you really don't want to have to burn that one-time exception on something that happens at the last minute. And also, we would encourage you to please update and make corrections to the CNP online application, whether it be the Schedule A, whenever changes occur or as needed. If something's changed, if the meal times have changed, if anything has changed, please notify us on the CNP website. Summer and pandemic EBT provisions. All states and territories that participate in WIC can participate beginning in summer of 2024. Families are going to receive $40 a month per eligible child, totaling $120 per child summer benefit in 2024. And children attending year-round schools are eligible for benefits, and the Secretary of Agriculture will establish those guidelines. Those summer EBT benefits can be used by families to purchase food from retailers approved for participation in SNAP. Benefits will be automatically issued to eligible children who were certified for free or reduced price meals in the school year immediately preceding the summer, and must make an application available for children who were not certified for free or reduced price meals. And then there also has to be a way for eligible households to opt out of the program. The benefits should be used by families during the summer months, and states are required to expunge the benefits from the EBT card after 4 months. The Secretary of Agriculture determines the exact rules on expungement timelines. Pandemic EBT, so that was specific to summer EBT, but pandemic EBT will remain available for both school-aged and young children during this summer of 2023. That benefit amount is going down to $40 per month. Children who are homeschooled or who attend school virtually during the 22-23 school year due to concerns about the pandemic remain eligible for pandemic EBT benefits during the school year, but are no longer eligible for benefits during the summer of 2023. The requirements that states have a school year plan for children in childcare or school-aged children in order to issue pandemic EBT benefits for the summer was eliminated. And here are some resources related to PEBT. We are currently in the transitional meal pattern standards for milk, sodium, and whole grains. I think everyone is pretty familiar with that. USDA did provide us with a milk tip sheet for CNP operators, and it has just some general information about serving milk at your schools. The whole grain resource for the National School Lunch Program has been revised with the 2022 final rule for child nutrition programs for transitional meal standards. It provides examples of various grain products often served in schools and walks the user through the process of determining whether products are whole grain rich, creditable as enriched, or not creditable. So if you have any questions, this is a great resource to reference. Our third allocation of supply chain assistance funds. There was a recording from USDA on supply chain assistance funds, and it's on YouTube, available for you to listen to. We also conducted one several weeks ago. We are currently still in the process of assigning the awards for every SFA. Due to some changes in SFAs opting in or out. So once that has been finalized and appropriation control has confirmed the calculations, that they're in agreement with the guidelines set forth by USDA, those will go out to all eligible school food authorities. Here are some additional resources about this supply chain assistance. Remember, it has to be non-processed or minimally processed domestic products. Some procurement updates and reminders. Please ensure that all state procurement laws and regulations are followed in school year 22-23. It's a reminder that the small purchase and micro purchase thresholds were adjusted by Governor John Bel Edwards on May 31st of 2022. So our micro purchase threshold went from $10,000 to $30,000, and our small purchase threshold went from $30,000 up to $60,000. So we hope that that provides a little relief for you all as you're conducting micro and small purchases. But normal purchasing guidelines regarding quotes with small purchases do still apply. We posted a memo related to charter schools utilizing food service management companies, specifically charges outside of allowable expenses. Child nutrition program food service management company contracts are limited to a meal times rate contract. In section 1, in the scope and purpose of the prototype FSMC item FF, it states the charge to the SFA or sponsor for the FSMC's fee is to be clearly identified in the proposal. Fees imposed by an FSMC outside of this contract may not be paid for with child nutrition funds. And then you can also refer to the proposal summary and agreement signed by the FSMC that states the offeror also understands that the FSMC cannot charge any fees other than the meal cost as indicated above for the number of meals served. The FSMC will not charge late fees, charge for meals delivered, etc. The RFP template and contract renewal templates have been posted to the CMP website for those charter schools that are using FSMCs. So if it is time for you to do a completely new RFP, that template is available. If it's time for you to do a renewal, that CPI has been included and that has been posted as well. And lastly, we do want to make sure that you are ensuring that your food vendors, distributors, warehouses that are servicing CNPs, those entities are required to have a food and drug permit, and they are required to have a copy of their annual health inspection kept on file. And you should receive a copy of that permit and that health inspection. You should keep that with your program information and your procurement documentation. We are planning to add this to the procurement plan and checklist just as an extra reminder to everyone. But please, as you begin your procurement processes for next school year, make sure that your vendor or distributor does have a food and drug permit and copies of annual health inspections. That's going to ensure the safety of the food that you receive and serve to children every day. All right. That comes to the end of the plan material we were going to cover. Again, that child nutrition programs at la.gov is a really great way to get in touch with us, as is the phone number 225-342-9661. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and submit them to the chat box, and I will answer as many questions as I can. If I don't have a chance to get to your question, then you can always send a follow-up email and we can get a response to you. All right. All right. Um, okay, so someone asked if I could kind of run down who is currently in the office working on NSLP SFSP, and I am happy to do that. So Dana Dozat is here, Chandra Scott, Lily Franklin, Toya Porter, Helen Folks, Misty Woods started with us. She came from Assumption. She started with us back in January. Janet and Wayne Dupree, Donald DeRuin. I'm scared that I didn't say someone's name that I intended to say, but that is who's here. We actually just recently found out that when someone leaves the department due to retirement or another job opportunity, that an email doesn't kick back to you to let you know that that email address has been deactivated. We've brought that to the attention of our deputy chief of operations, and we're trying to work on a fix to make sure that when you're emailing someone who's no longer with the department, that you at least are notified that they're not going to respond to your message. And that's part of the reason, we would encourage you to use that generalized email address, or if you haven't received a response, to reach out again to that generalized email address. So yes, and we're in the process of hiring. It's just been very, very slow. I have a question about January. When will January claims be paid? Appropriation control would be the best avenue for that question. If you need a contact person within appropriation control, you can reach out and I can provide that to you. Will the districts be required to submit a report of free or reduced qualifying students for summer EBT in 2024? I believe it will probably work like it's worked in summers past, where there's some kind of data coordinator who is providing that information to DCFS. We have another question about updates regarding reviews that were to happen this school year. So we have submitted a waiver request. We submitted it to our regional office to waive the remaining reviews until next school year. We have been told that it is with the national office. We have not received word yet. However, at this point, I think it's highly unlikely. I'm not going to say impossible, but highly unlikely that there will be any more school year reviews in school year 23. But we will certainly update everyone as soon as we hear back from the national office. How many health inspections does a vendor need to have on file per year? We spoke with LDH yesterday, and they said they should have 2 health inspections on file per year. And their permitting is done annually, just like yours is. So they would have 1 permit and 2 health inspections per year. Okay, are there any other questions? I'll wait just 1 more minute. All right. Well, if you have any additional questions, feel free to email us and we will get back to you. But thank you so much for attending today. We're so thankful for all of the hard work you do in feeding kids in our state. Hope everybody has a great afternoon.